Ladies and gentlemen, mesdames and messieurs, welcome to Then and Now, show I do every week with George Jatras, author of I Tried to Warn You, collected works spanning back all the way to 1980s, starting off with Solzhenitsyn. If you read the description in the thumbnail, it's a quote from Solzhenitsyn. I'll just read it now. The line separating good and evil passes through, not through states, not through classes, or political parties either, but right through every human heart and through all human hearts. And we are here to discuss the aftermath of the Charlie Kirk assassination. It's been interesting. A lot of progressive groups, let's call it that, have been celebrating the assassination of Kirk in a pretty disgusting manner. There's now been a utilization of cancel culture coming from the right, calling out these people who are doing this publicly online and alerting their employers. Quite a few people have been fired or doxxed or harassed. I have one clip we can play from Australia, which is always interesting, which has got everyone very nervous and very rankled. And then, of course, I just found out about this morning, Destiny. A man called Destiny, the debater and influencer, was just recently on Piers Morgan on a panel with Jack Posobiec, Andrew Wilson, and Anna Kasparian, and he said some pretty choice words, which is again turning up the volume and the temperature in the room. Quite funny because he calls for conservatives to turn down the temperature, and he just raised it to 9/11 status. So we're here to talk about those things and the spiritual aspect of connectivity of these events, which I believe are becoming more and more obvious. And we'll get to some other analysis of the narratives and all the rest of it. Jim, thank you so much. I know you're away from home, although I do like the setup. It's nice. I miss the books.
Yeah, not too bad, huh?
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah, well, this is my phone. This is not even a computer.
Maybe we should do it on your phone more. We just got to get rid of. We just got to get you a lapel mic. That's all we need to do. Get you like a nice little portable lapel mic.
Yeah,
a little wireless number,
or a tinfoil hat.
Megaphone, something like that. Just
By the way, you notice there's less of a delay here on this connection than we usually have. Usually when we talk, there's a little bit like a quarter of a second delay.
I blame Elon. You got that Starlink, but you're also living out in the boonies, so we should just be happy that let's just be happy that anything works while things are still work, kind of.
Yeah.
Let's celebrate that.
This is just T-Mobile 5G network.
There you go. But you know what, folks? You send us some super chats, send us some money, and we'll get a little fun together to get Jim a microphone or a little lapel mic, and then we'll be like professional podcast or something. Jim, that'll be amazing, wouldn't it?
Maybe earphones too. I don't know. I hate earphones.
Well, one thing at a time. We could get the headphones with the little microphone, and you could be like a gamer. We could get you on
the thing.
Yeah, we'll get you on some Dota servers and whatnot. You can just like start playing I don't know what are the kids playing these days. All right, let's play a clip. This is a clip from Timcast from Tim Pool, who covered this morning. This is Tim making some commentary on what I just set up, Destiny's comments about the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and basically making an open threat to conservatives, I guess, in the West, really, because it's not isolated just to America. Forgive me, folks, if you're listening to this and this gets a little disturbing, but that's just kind of where we're at right now.
We are in trouble. I'm making a special video after watching the Piers-Morgan debate.
Sorry, can you hear that okay? And just let the chat, just let me know if you can hear that fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jack Posobiec, Andrew Wilson, Anna Kasparian, and Stephen Bonnell, a.k.a. Destiny, appeared. Destiny, I will not waste time, says outright, you should die. He says conservatives need to die because when they vote for Donald Trump, people die and it's their fault, and this is what you get. What he said was, stop defending your values, give up, or we will kill you. That's what he's saying. What now? Twitch, YouTube, X? A viral X post already doing the rounds has Destiny saying conservatives must fear they will die, and so they will back off and give up on what they're fighting for. There's no ambiguity here. This is not even a far leftist politically, Destiny, saying if you are a conservative, if you hold any of these values, they want you to fear death, they want you to die, and if you vote for Donald Trump or anyone like him, they will kill you. I'm going to play the video for you right now.
Well, Andrew Wilson referred to Destiny's insane tweets a little earlier, which were disavowed by Anna Kasparian. Well, Destiny joins us now. Destiny, you've been quite active on social media since Charlie Kirk's death. When Erica Kirk posted Charlie's coffin, you responded, she tagged him, brackets, crying face emojis. In response to Alina Haber's tweet ordering people to fly their flags at half-mast in memory of Charlie, you posted on X buying flags and poles just to fly them fully erect. And you then posted yesterday, ending every conservative debate call out I'd do in 2026 with don't dodge, bro. That's not what Charlie would have wanted. Do you think that your response to the cold-blooded murder of Charlie Kirk has been appropriate?
Yes. I think that the only way this country moves forward into a better world is when conservatives can finally realize that they need to turn the temperature down on their side. We are 10 years into whatever this Trump madness is, and there is not a single mainstream conservative that will call for a lowering of the temperature on their side. I think that liberals need to wake up and finally realize that if they're not willing to do it, it will never come down. If you wanted Charlie Kirk to be alive, Donald Trump shouldn't have been president for the second term. Every time he's in office, this happens. People joked about when Biden came in, it was so boring, nothing was going on. 7 out of 10 of the largest protests in American history have happened under Donald Trump. All of the recent political violence that's happened in this country over the past 20 years, the majority of it, the overwhelming majority of it, everybody gets mad because they keep asking Grok about it, has been conservative.
And I'll play this clip for you.
Hash out the crime statistics?
Not exactly like
you need conservatives to be afraid of getting killed when they go to events so that they look to their leadership to turn down the temperature. The issue is right now, they don't feel like there's any fear. Like, I don't know. It's like memes. It's just memes to everybody, I guess. I don't know, bro. I don't know. I don't care. I'm playing video games. Okay. I'm done today. I don't give a fuck. God, it's going to be so fucking gay if I get killed in the next fucking 2 months of shit I'm doing. Well, the cuck shit out here.
So let me
a few more minutes.
Canceled public events.
Lost.
I'm planning a trip
Okay.
to appear on some shows, some of them not even news related, and I have to have armed guards with me. There have been lists that have been put out on the internet calling for my death, and I'm not conservative. And you all know I'm not conservative because you watch my videos and you hear my opinions. The left and the liberals will say, of course, Tim is conservative. There's no middle ground to them. Conservatives recognize a middle ground. Liberals do not. And so there is a left and there is a right and there is nothing else. So it should be clear. Destiny has stated on Piers Morgan's show, outright, Trump won legitimately and fairly, I might add. And for this, the left has rioted, engaged in extreme acts of violence, killed Charlie Kirk. And he said, stop voting for it then. Okay. Listen.
Let's stop it there. Thoughts?
Well, to start with, as I'm sure we'll get into, we don't know that the left killed Charlie Kirk. I mean, it's quite possible, depending on how you define left. But as you know, and we'll get into this, to what end, I don't know, since we'll never know what the real truth is, I don't think. But nonetheless, there are a lot of real questions about what the hell did happen and why and at the behest of whom. So it's interesting that this guy on the left is taking credit for something that may not have been done by his crowd at all. Secondly, he says we need to force them to turn down the temperature. What temperature exactly is it that he's demanding people on the right turn down? I don't know. Stop being so conservative or something, or stop talking about conservative stuff. And of course, that's the flip side of it, is what Trump is doing particularly conservative. It is in some ways, I suppose. In other ways, it is not. Certainly not the conservatism that he promised during his campaign. So, you know, it's such a big jumble in terms of, first of all, I don't think right and left is really all that useful here. And by the way, what bunk? What most of the violence comes from the right. I noticed that ADL and some of those other groups are saying the same thing. I don't know how they're counting this. I mean, if you look, I mean, how many? By the way, Jason, did you notice after Charlie Kirk was killed, all the footage of the riots by straight white Christian English speakers burning down the cities and attacking people? And well, wait a minute, I didn't see that either. I mean, people on the right just don't do that kind of stuff. At least not yet.
What's amazing here is that Destiny's even admitting that the violence over the last 20 years, all the political violence, is because has come from the left because Donald Trump's in office, not from the right. Who, you know, Donald Trump's in office and then the right's doing all the horrible things. It's that Donald Trump's in office and now the left, or whatever you want to call them, right? Let's say, we'll call them progressives just to give them a title, right? So the progressives then go on the warpath and burn down cities and do all these things in response to Donald Trump being in office. Now, so he's admitting that blankly that the progressives are the ones who are doing the violence anyways. It's not right-wing violence, and yet they keep quoting, as you said, from this ADL study they've been saying this. The Young Turks have been saying this for
76%.
Yeah, for 15 years, I think. I've heard this for forever, that the majority of real violence in the United States comes from right-wing, far-right terrorist groups, homegrown terrorist groups. And you go, okay, well then where are the stats? Like who's doing this? And you can't find anything. They'll point to some guy. Remember Dylan Roof went into a Black Baptist church and shot up the church, and that's coded as far right terrorism. But then you go, well, who's he connected to? And he's like, nobody. Like maybe nobody. There was a bunch of racist, inbreds in wherever the hell he was, who decided to go do that. And then you go, right, and you go, okay, well, are they organized? Are they part of? Or
they'll talk about Nancy Pelosi's husband and the hammer attack, and there's no indication that there's anything political about that at all. Indication of something weird going on with Mr. Pelosi and whoever this fellow was. And then they talk about Gabby Gifford, that congresswoman, and they jumped all over that. Oh, it's the right-wing rhetoric. It's always, and it turns out the guy was just a nut with no particular political views at all that anybody could nail down. The only one that I can think of that might have had a right-wing political motivation was that those state legislators in, where was that, Michigan or Minnesota or someplace like that. And again, that seems to be, although even there, the guy was appointed to, I guess it was Minnesota, appointed some kind of commission by Governor Walz, the vice presidential candidate. I mean, the guy's politics were a little bit mixed up of any sort. And the other thing is this, Jason, there's video after video of people, like if you're wearing a MAGA hat or something like that, and you go to some place and people act rudely to you or threaten you and scream at you like psychotic people they are. There's really no place in this country, as I can think of, that if a person went in there with a blue hat that said, vote Harris, that person would be physically assaulted.
Right.
But there's lots and lots of places. If you wore a Trump hat or a MAGA hat, you're in danger. There's no question about that.
Yeah, and this is kind of the interesting thing. You brought up the turn down the temperature from
Yeah.
And this is I'm going to play another clip here actually, just to kind of give you an idea of how it's stunning actually, and one of those things where it, right? Like it theoretically. We've absorbed this
Yeah.
information. It's out there, but it's one thing to know it, and then another thing to see it explain itself. And you're like, wow, you're really stupid. Like, this is really bubble brained. I don't even know. It's demonic. It's the only thing that I can think of to explain it. Because I don't understand how someone can say these things. Second here. And have any self credibility. I mean, right away, the image right away here is like just stupid hair, right? Stupid hair, stupid face.
I was just going to say.
This is a lady from Australia.
The
maybe she took it out because she was getting too much heat. I don't know who this lady is really. She's out of Australia. I think she's she's Lizzie Page. Is her ad on TikTok. I guess she's some name. I don't know the TikTok world very well. So sometimes they tell me that this is a great big influencer on TikTok. I'm like, I've never heard of her.
Okay.
But apparently she's been a victim of this cancel culture from the right, where she said some things, and people are now going after her for the things she said about Charlie Kirk post assassination. So we'll play the
received information that I've been doxxed on X, so I'm going to have to step away for a little bit. And the AFP have been contacted, and also the E-Safety Commission as well have been contacted, because
AFP stands for Australian Federal Police.
There's been a large number of threats coming through. And the irony of this situation, that all I did was say some words that offended some people, and now people have decided to take that into the real world and start, threatening and harassing and abusing people out in the real world based on.
We'll play a bit more, but just let that statement sit with you. The irony, she says, that that you say some words and people get offended, and they've taken those words and made a real world event out of it. When the word she's talking about, the word she used was to slander Charlie Kirk after his assassination, a man who is known for using words rather than force to get his worldview across, and was, whatever. We can get into all the different theories, but it certainly was popular. The most popular response to this is they killed a guy who was just using his words. It's stunning.
On their inability to manage their emotions. I even had some people say to me that apparently they made a report to the AFP, the Federal Police, about me. I'm like, what did I do other than say something that hurt your feelings? Like, that's free speech. You the ability to speak, even if that's something that personally offends you or you find distasteful. We don't all have to agree on things. In fact, we shouldn't all agree on things. So I'll be around later, I guess. And just think before you try to take things offline or you try to escalate things. Think about whether this actually impacts you personally, whether your life is personally impacted by the hurtful thing that person said.
Jason, I don't know how it's Australia, but we know for a fact that in Britain, people are being arrested and being put in jail for things that they say or post online. So, I mean, I agree with the content of what we're saying. People shouldn't be subject to reprisals for the thoughts that they express. And as you point out, Charlie Kirk, but also they've been doing this for a long time. I mean, they can't quite do it as much in the United States because of the First Amendment, but certainly they're doing it in Britain. And what's going on in Australia? Have they been doing this to people as well? Do you get visits from the police for posts on X and things like that?
I've not received any visits from any police or gotten any warnings. However,
Not you personally, but in general.
No, not me personally. I
Yeah.
don't know of anyone who has. However, here in
Okay.
Australia, they have passed laws very recently under, the Prime Minister here, Albanese. Netanyahu named him and was essentially putting some very public, thumb screws to Albanese, saying that he hadn't responded. I don't know. I think there was some incidents of alleged anti-Semitism happening somewhere out east. I've stopped following a lot of these things because it's like 99% of them are hoaxes, or you follow up on the story a week later and you find out it wasn't something. Anyways, forgive me if it really was an attack on someone, then I my apologies to whoever's listening, but I don't know. I only have so much bandwidth. Anyways, the response has been in Australia that they've been passing more hate speech laws. When we can get to Pam Bondi's recent statements.
Yeah, I was just going to. Yeah, she used this. I mean, that's the thing, is that a lot of the right now is again, I hate doing this right-left dichotomy, but a lot of what passes for the right is calling for the same thing that they condemned in the past, including even the expression of hate speech. And let's face it, when somebody like Laura Loomer calls for using the power of the government to go after communists, I don't think they're going to be going after communists. They're going to be going after anybody who's critical of Israel, and that's a completely different kettle of fish. Where policing the internet and policing speech is basically going to be a very narrowly focused definition of what hate speech is.
Of course, it's because it's there's been back and forth online about specifically around technology. And I've posed sort of the trolley cart, dilemma, especially around Palantir, right? Because here's the Palantir conversation. On one hand, and I don't know if we've talked about this or not yet, but on one hand, you can say, okay, look, Israel wasn't using Palantir in the early days of the Gaza situation, and they were carpet bombing and the systems they were using, Lavender, Daddy's Home, and I forget the other one. It's biblical. It's kind of sickening. Maybe that's why I've expunged it from my mind. Anyways, it doesn't matter. The gospel, I think they called it. They were using these programs to kind of pinpoint targets, and it wasn't working very well. I mean, they would pinpoint them, but they would also level out whole city blocks. And they were resisting using Palantir because once you get Palantir in, Palantir gets into your cloud, and they start using up a whole bunch of your data, and they didn't want that. Eventually, I think they got strong armed to putting Palantir in, because the collateral damage and the PR of it was failing them. So they bring Palantir in, and now look, Israel's doing what Israel does, and we can get into that, but certainly now the onus is on them, because they now have because then the difference is when they struck Iran, they were using Palantir and they were doing pinpoint strikes on things, not doing collateral damage to an entire block. So whether they use it or not, now the moral onus is on them, because now they have the technology that there is no excuse for collateral damage if they choose not to have it, right? So that becomes the bugaboo, the big moral question. Here's this technology that people are going to blow things up, right? We're always going to have military actions. That's just part of our fallen nature. That's how things are.
Yeah.
Do you create technology that minimizes civilian casualties as much as you can? Is that more moral than not? Even if that technology then can be used in other ways that may not be as moral as that initial question. And I don't have an answer for that. All I know is this is what it is, and this is what it can do. And now you can use it domestically. You can use it in a lot of different ways. A lot of people are even open calls. I remember that when the LA riots recently broke out, because the ICE agents, remember that whole thing. and
yeah.
there was open calls from a lot of people to use Palantir, for the feds to use Palantir to find these people and root them out. And I believe they were starting to do it because at one point they published the fact that they could triangulate cell data to find out
Right.
where a lot of these protesters, where they lived, what districts they lived, and most of them came from upper middle class families. And I think that put a bit of a scare
Shocking.
into people. Yeah. And that's just what they released. They just released that. Right? So who knows what they had?
The Beverly Hills, Beverly Hills rioters. Yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
Well, look, in terms of the dilemma you laid out, I don't think it's much of a dilemma because obviously indiscriminate, or let's say, hitting a fly with a sledgehammer kind of destruction of neighborhoods to get some people, even assuming, by the way, that clearing the neighborhood isn't the real goal, as opposed to supposedly the guy they were targeting. And if the alternative to that is, well, but if you get Palantir, it'll be used for something else. Well, they're going to get the Palantir anyway. Forget, whether it help or not. It helps you be more discriminate in your military action. You're going to get the Palantir anyway, so you might as well be more discriminate and deprive yourself of the excuse of being too heavy-handed in your military strikes. Shifting back to some of the other discussion, though, I do get a little tired of this hand-wringing, especially from women, about can't we all just get along? Can't we lower the temperature? Can't we respect each other and be nice and have civil conversations? No, we can't. We just can't anymore. I mean, we're already too far gone in terms of the moral and ideological and spiritual divisions in society. We're just not the same people. We hate each other. That's the fact of life. And the idea that somehow if we just sort of, try to be nicer to each other and hold hands and sing Kumbaya, and as we've been pointing out, so far, only one side has been fighting. Now, the only question right now is if the other side is going to fight, and if it does, how is it going to do it? Is it going to try to harness the power of the state to come against its enemies and basically betray all the principles of free speech, cancel culture, and all that nonsense that they argued all these years? Or are they going to organize at the grassroots level, and that we're going to start seeing more of, if you will, street level kinetic action
I think you'll see both.
against the left, or the way? Pardon?
I think you'll see both.
Or both. Possibly, although to tell the truth, I'm not so sure, because the kind of people, again, whatever passes for a right, simply don't behave that way. They're not those kind of individuals in terms of their personal behavior, most of them. Although, frankly, there are a lot of angry young men out there who, under the right circumstances, could be convinced to engage in violence. I guess the question is, what do the authorities do about it? My sense is they'll come down on them like a ton of bricks, where they're very, very tolerant of left-wing violence, but they won't be tolerant of right-wing violence.
Well, I think there's two differences. One, okay, look, payment networks, right? So we know that up till now, at least, I mean, this maybe even go back to really to the Weatherman network, Bill Ayers and all the rest of it. So, there's a long history here to piece apart. But let's just concentrate on the last 20 years, because I think that's where the snapshot is. We look at the last 20 years, we can certainly see a development of a network that's a patronage network that's favoring certain groups over others, right? Some people are getting paid and giving green lights, and other ones are being harshly attacked and the Fed's use against them, right? Like, there's no left-wing version of the Davinians, or and again, I'm not even trying to carry water for any groups here, right? Remember that whole situation with I forget the name of them. He was a rancher, and they almost went to an entrenched war with the Fed.
Randy. No, you're talking about Branch Davidians. You're talking about Randy Weaver.
Randy Weaver, right? There was a family. There were
Yeah.
ranchers, and they were grazing their cattle on federal land. And
the sniper shot killed his wife while she was holding their baby.
That's then there's that case as well. But there was just one not too long ago, in the last I can't remember, 10 years or so, maybe during Obama's term, I can't remember. But it was a rancher who's grazing his cattle right, yes, on federal land. Federal land. The feds came and started pressing him, and there was a massive standoff. And also it found out that this guy had a clan of people, not the other clan, but it's like a big group of family. You're right, yeah. Important distinction here, folks. YouTube, hey, I know, whatever. And there was I forget his name. But anyways, what I'm saying is that there's been obvious cases where they're going to highlight and say, these are the enemy, these are the bad guys for holding these values, and how dare they actually believe in something like the Constitution? Idiots. The Cliven Bundy. Thank you, Cliven Bundy. Yeah. Raising the land for Bundy. Yeah, thank you, thank you, chat. One of the great reasons you do these things live, because I have the assistance of the chat. That's best chat in the world.
I like that.
So there's all these kind of instances where they're basically telling people, like, if you go on the right side of this divide, we'll go after you. If you're on the left side of the divide, even the weathermen, really, back in the 1960s. I mean, they broke them up and all that stuff, but I mean, Bill Ayers is walking free in massive political circles.
Sure.
A lot of people early on were connecting him and Obama, we can talk about that. But basically, my point is this: it's like, yeah, you're right. There is a false divide here, and I think this gets to. I read a little bit from Father Peter Heers, just did a show about the 3 sins leading to World War III. We can cover a little bit of that here today as well. But it feels like this is going to happen. There's nothing you can do to stop it from happening. The only thing you can do personally is guard yourself from getting dragged too far into it. And for any Christians or Orthodox people listening to this, look, it's not just we don't believe in like baptism, you're good, right? It's like baptism, now you're on guard, or even before that, and you got to be paying attention, because the enemy, the adversary would love to get you more than anybody. If they can get a someone who's of the faith to cross over and abandon things and give up the image bearer status, that's a tasty treat right there. So it's patience and vigilance is the 2 key words I keep using.
I agree with that. It doesn't answer the question for me of что делать? What do we do? What do you do? Do you try to become non-political? Or are you so otherworldly that you're no earthly good? I mean, are you just sort of trying to punt out of what is increasingly becoming the United States of Weimerica? Weimerica. It's that it's all coming apart. You're going to try to cultivate your spiritual inner peace and all that sort of thing. But what do you do as a person in the world, person with family, to defend neighborhood that you live in, people you care about? You just sort of shrug your shoulders, say, "I'm sorry, I'm busy saying the Jesus prayer. I can't really I don't have any civic duty." Do you do that?
I can't answer that for people. I mean, obviously, if you put it in those terms, no, right? We are in the world. We have to do things.
Yeah, exactly.
We have to defend our families. But I think what people are becoming more and more aware of, especially when we get into the spiritual warfare aspect of everything, and this is now breaking out. It's not just our little corner of the internet talking about this. Everybody's talking about this. In the aftermath, I'll play one more thing if I can find it here. In the aftermath of Kirk, there's a we've been noticing this in the Orthodox world, post 2020, much ink has been spilled about this, about many people
Mhm.
coming onboarding to Orthodoxy in huge numbers.
Oh yeah.
What this Kirk event has now done is just a general flood back into Christianity in general. Let me just find this.
Yeah.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
You probably haven't seen this. I shared this earlier. This is if I cry, don't judge. Hang on. This is titled one of the best things on the internet right now. I have to agree.
You know, I don't come from any kind of money, and I've never owned a suit before. My wife, she bought me this suit. Our anniversary's coming up, and we have a nice anniversary plan. You know, we make a little bit of money now, and I'm proud to say that, because that's certainly not where either one of us comes from. And I feel good in this suit, man. And I just want my wife to know she made me feel good. It's a $300 suit. I ain't never had nothing like this before in my life. And I tell you what, okay, video flip here, so I'm gonna lose some of you. I didn't know Charlie Kirk, never met that guy before in my life. And something else that I've never done before in my life is believe in God. I'm gonna wear this suit to church. I'm gonna go to church. I'm going to try to be a better father, husband, and leader for my family. They deserve that. My phone fell down. I guess that's the devil trying to fuck me up or mess me up right now. I'm gonna try, y'all. Look at this suit. I look good, bro. My wife made me feel this way. Charlie's made me feel this way. Yeah, message over.
I like that. Yeah, I don't know. I think something's going on. I don't know where it goes. I don't know.
Hang on a second. Talk to the people for a second.
Talk among yourselves. I'm getting verklempt.
I'm feeling
I'll give you a
verklempt.
topic.
The civil wars are neither civil nor war. Discuss.
Talk among yourselves.
Getting weepy in my
Yeah.
old age. I don't know what's happened to me.
Well,
So
it's like speaking of weepy, did you see that picture I DM'd you with Irina and Charlie?
it's in the thumbnail.
Yeah. What'd you think of that picture?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about this for a second. Sam Hyde released a video recently that's been tearing up the internet called "This Is You," showing Charlie Kirk, and then shows Irina and says, "This is your daughter, this is your sister, this is your wife, but this is you." Back to Charlie. There's been calls now. I think Andrew Tate and Elon Musk are also contributing to this. I can't remember who first initiated the fund to do murals of Irina all over the place. A lot of some of the commentary around Charlie is calling him a martyr. I've seen a lot of weird stuff. Now with the internet, you don't know where this is coming from. It could be from some India farm, I don't know. But people pick it up. Even Sam Hyde said, Charlie Kirk's a martyr, and I can understand. I understand. I don't want to be that guy who says, "Hey, don't use those words." At the same time, we got to be very, very careful. This is like, I made this prediction. Whatever, I started talking about the vengeful son back in 2023, and it's kind of carried forward to now, where I think I'm getting a lot of messages of people saying, I see it now. We're on the edge, and how people respond and what they say, everything now has weight and meaning. It did before, but now it really does. And we got to be very, very careful, I think. And those words, and I understand it, sometimes you reach for a word and it's the best word for what you're feeling.
Yeah.
But you got to be very careful, because we're into spiritual warfare now. I don't.
Yeah,
I don't, there's no way of
and
saying
also for most of our society, the line between spiritual and emotional is non-existent. Like you got choked up over that guy in the suit. I got choked up over the picture with Irina with Charlie, but I couldn't give you a good reason why I should feel choked up. I mean, other than the look on the girl's face when she knew she'd been stabbed. It's like, okay, how do you let's say plug in to the spiritual truths of our times without getting maudlin about it, and it becomes simply an exercise in emotional narcissism. And that's again, and I'm not trying to denigrate these things and saying, okay, it's just cheap emotionalism, but it is emotionalism. There is emotion in there, and there's a place for emotion. But how do you know that the emotions are rightly in the right context, and you're not subjecting yourself to manipulation?
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is where the discernment comes in, right? I don't think it's wrong. I've been saying this about violence in this age of total violence. Here's something that people have to contend with: Tim Pools and all the rest of it. Destiny's saying these things, and it's grotesque. And
who's Destiny, by the way? I don't know who Destiny. By the way, who is Destiny? Who is this person?
He's a debater. He's Andrew Wilson calls him the coom gremlin. He's a debater.
I think you should call him Density.
Density. We might call him 25 years of life pretty soon, depending on how his legal battles go. He's connected with a lot of potential P diddlies. So
whom are they diddling?
Well, yeah, pretty much anyone they can get their hands on. Did you ever hear about Vosh? Do you know that name? Also,
refresh my memory. I may have.
He's a debater. I can find a picture of him, but I don't really want to share he makes me want to vomit. He came out of the Destiny sphere. So Destiny comes up as a debater, as a progressive debater, a bit of a political influencer in his own right. And he's been going on for the last 10 years. Andrew Wilson has had many debates. His entire strategy, and many of the people who came into his orbit and have become like a Destiny clone. Bosch is one. There's this girl out of Canada that I can't remember her name right now. All I can think of is how Jim Bob is called her, which is garbage sausage, which is perfect. Anyways, their tactic is to basically memorize a bunch of stats, and
Wait, before you go on, Blue Skittle says Destiny sounds like a stripper name, and my thought is, and Blue Skittle, how do you know that?
Destiny up to the DJ booth. Destiny up to the DJ booth, followed by Blue Skittle. Blue Skittle, folks. She's on the stage. Give a round of applause, Blue Skittle. Get your money out, boys. Don't ask me how I know what they sound like, what the DJ guys sound. Very briefly, I actually auditioned to be a strip club.
Covering up his eyes.
I actually auditioned one point in my degenerate youth to be a DJ booth guy, to DJ a strip club DJ. Yeah, didn't get the gig.
Wow.
I guess I don't know why. I guess I wasn't convincing enough. I don't know. Swarmy enough. I had they could detect my morals. They were like, oh, that guy has a shred of morals. Can't have that. No.
Where was this,
so
in Montreal? Montreal?
Yeah. There's a few businesses of ill repute. Let's say Montreal is known for these places. You've heard of maybe one or two of them, Jim.
Well, all I could say is nowadays they call themselves gentlemen's clubs, but I'm wondering if the patrons can really be described as gentlemen.
Well, you see a lot of brown faces in the crowd. Usually, back in my day, I don't know about how it was for other people. So just to answer your question, so yeah, Destiny's this debater influencer. He's now lots of sexual innuendos around him. One of the big dramas about him is he was married to this girl who they were all in some sort of poly open relationship. She left him for some other guy. Big public divorce, and then all of a sudden, all these other sexual things have come out. He's also bisexual, apparently, because he's also leaked the big thing that the smoking gun for him was he was accused of sharing pornographic material of him and people within group chats and stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of Destiny. I kind of want to take a shower every time I say his name. I'm like, I gotta hose myself off a little bit, just speak his name, and so that's his thing. And who knows who's paying him? And Hassan Piker. You know who Hassan Piker is? Nephew of Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks. He got really big on Twitch. He's been saying some wild stuff as well. He's been saying some wild stuff for a while. He was a guy who brought on Muslim pirates and was saying how great this guy is, and he's part of this movement, and we should support the movement. And then you find out this guy is like murdering, kidnapping and murdering people. Yeah. This is what the left has gotten now. I don't want to downplay it because it sounds silly, and you go, well, these just are silly people.
Yeah.
And they've managed to get a crowd, and they're silly people. But that's the thing, is like just those two guys. If you look at their audience size on any given stream, probably combine those, it's in the millions. Wow. So there's millions of kids, predominantly, or now probably in their 20s, who've been having this stuff beamed into their head. And they're onto this. Like they're in full support. There was a Charlie Kirk vigils have been disrupted all over the place. There's one video of a guy yelling, I hate you. I want you to die, to people who are holding this vigil. So when we bring into this is demonic. And someone mentioned in the chat, Dr. David Patrick Harry, I should say, who's someone we should reach out to. Just did a stream. I watched it this morning about demonic possession and spiritual warfare. And he brought up he was cooking for a bit. And he brought up some really good points about this. Whereas, like, look, some things are distasteful. Some people are going to say things that are rude or vulgar. There's fine, right? I used to, one of my favorite stand-up comedians was a guy called Doug Stanhope, and he excelled in vulgarity. Like, that was what made it funny, was how vulgar it was. But this is crossing multiple lines to the point where it's almost denigrating what we conceive as human, what we conceive as human. Like, humanity itself now is being targeted, and I don't think we've seen this really since maybe the Bolsheviks.
That's a good question. I don't know. Well, I don't know. I don't really have a thought on that at this moment. I'd have to consider it.
Let's end on this, because we're almost the hour, and I don't want to keep you forever. Sure. This is from This is from, excuse me. These are just screen shares. This is from Father Peter Here's latest talk on World War III, the three sins that'll lead to it. These are add-ons to the predictions. This is from Metropolitan Neophytos, names three great sins that cause war. I'll just do this briefly. I did this on the live stream last night, but I'm interested to hear what you say. I have to say about this. The war in Ukraine, which is part of the overall movement towards, World War III, and all wars are caused by the great sins of mankind. And there are several sins in particular that we can pinpoint today, says His Eminence Metropolitan Neophytos of Morphos of the Orthodox Church of Cyprus. The Cypriot hierarch, well known for his outspokenness, was recently asked by the Save and Protect YouTube channel why God allowed the war in Ukraine. This is going back to March 6, to 2023. He responded, the question should be worded differently. Why did the Lord allow the beginning of World War III? The Ukrainian question is part of the Third World War. It's not the beginning, but it's not the end either. There are spiritual points, but also political. History is controlled by the Lord. Many people see only the human factor, disagreements, arguments, confrontation between Russia and NATO, energy issues. These are human components. But when there's also a spiritual causes, which some of the modern saints personally told me about. His Eminence mentions that he spoke about these issues with Gerontisia Galatica from Crete, who reposed 2 years ago at that point, and Elder Ephraim of Arizona. He also refers to 20th century saints he read, including St. Lawrence of Chernigov, as well as St. Piesos of the Holy Mountain, and St. Jacob of Evia, both of whom he knew. The Metropolitan then tells a story that he heard from St. Jacob himself. St. Jacob once went to venerate the relics of St. John the Russian on the island of Evia, and he began to speak to the saint. St. John told him that many pilgrims come to venerate his relics, but few believers. People today are full of disrespect and lack faith, and therefore, to fix this world, there must be a war. St. Jacob was scared of these words, and noting how tragic the history of the 20th century already was, he asked, do we really need another war? But St. John replied, a war must begin, otherwise mankind won't change. Metropolitan Neophytos explained that he was a student when he heard this from St. Jacob, and he asked him why St. John asserted this. St. Jacob said, because the Lord revealed to him, it's because the next generation won't give birth to normal, ordinary children, but to demonic children. So now this is quoting, this quote would go back to
what year would this have been?
I mean, I would assume maybe in the 1960s, really. So let's say the generations generation in Gen X and then up, right? He didn't name any other reasons, Metropolitan Neophytos emphasizes, and the saints who I mentioned a little earlier all say the same thing. The coming generations, if the Lord doesn't intervene, won't be the image and likeness of God. They'll be in the form of man, but in the essence with a dead soul. Such a person can't become a saint. If humanity can't give birth to saints, then there's no point in living. We can get into the great sins, but maybe you want to comment on that. I have something else here that kind of is an interesting.
I've always wondered. I understand that war is a scourge, like plague or something else, to bring the people to repentance. But how does that work exactly? Because certainly some people might repent, other people just die and suffer, and also these things always come with some horrendously immoral, even demonic behavior. Whereas is the net, in other words, I don't see the net improvement or spiritual improvement that comes from such catastrophes. Again, I understand the principle, but I don't understand exactly how it works when you look at the kind of horror and degradation that comes along with war.
Here's something that's interesting, just to add on to my comment about the future generations will birth demons. This is from Red Wave Press. Shocking political violence is never acceptable. This is the question. put forward. And this is the poll answers. Baby boomers, 93% agree that political violence is never acceptable. Gen X, 86% agree. Millennials, 71% agree. And Gen Z, 58% agree.
Wow. So I guess it's still a majority, but not much.
I mean, barely. I mean, who knows how scientific this poll is, but let's just use that as base numbers, ballpark numbers. That means that by Gen Alpha, if this continues, we'll be below plurality in that. And suddenly political violence the question is phrased, political violence is never acceptable. So we can guess at when political violence might be acceptable to these people.
Sometimes acceptable. Mostly dead.
Yeah, mostly not acceptable. Occasionally,
mostly peaceful.
When do you want to get the thing done? Just briefly, Jim, we'll get to the three sins. Yeah. This is also really interesting, especially when we're thinking about Charlie Kirk as maybe an effigy, right? As an icon of something. And there are three great sins that have led to our present situation in the world, his eminence continues. The spiritual cause of war, not only in Ukraine, but in the entire system in which we now live. After all, it's not just about components of the new man, of future generations, artificial intelligence, nanotechnology, microchips, and all that. But we should also talk about our own sins, especially about three of them. Number one, the first sin, which has swallowed up the entire world, is abortion. And not just because it exists, but also because it's been legalized by states, even Orthodox states. When sin becomes a law and a right, then the Lord turns away from man because he no longer has a desire to repent. And that hits hard. The second sin is that Elder Ephraim of Arizona and Gerontisa of Galatica spoke about is the perversions of fornications that occur in and out of marriage. Nowadays, not only same-sex marriage is being spread everywhere, but also pedophilia, pedophilia, YouTube, TG ideology, Metropolitan Neophyto says. The third sin is witchcraft, Satanism, astrology, and parapsychology. Modern people prefer the energies of sorcerers, Satanists, Masons, and all the people prefer the devil to Christ. And then finally, the fourth reason, in Metropolitan Neophyto's opinion, is that the leaders of today's church all over the world aren't talking about or teaching these things. When the pastor doesn't lead his flock, his people, his faithful correctly, first the saints disappear, and then Christ himself.
Wow. That really sums it up, doesn't it?
I'm a catechumen. I have no authority to speak on these things, but
we're in big trouble, Jason.
Looking like.
I mean, that's the thing. We can talk about all this stuff. We can on an individual level, we can heed these warnings, and hopefully that there will be some remnant of whatever catastrophe is coming. Whether it's those who are aware of the reasons, or whether it's something more arbitrary than that. You can try to, but you're not going to avert it. I mean, I don't see any possibility that these warnings could be heeded by the broad mass of humanity, much less by governments. They're going to do what they're going to do.
I don't know if I tied this knot on this statement. But it's something that people are going to have to contend with privately. And this is the Tim Pools and all the rest of people saying, we don't want violence. I'm like, yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Sure. Yeah.
On some level, something's telling you, and it's telling all of us, that this situation doesn't get resolved without violence, and might be a world-consuming violence, total violence. That has to happen now, because it's like it's pushed it too far. There is no going back. There is no retracting it.
Yeah.
There is no living with these people. One side is going to win out because catharsis is required. And you can't put the genie back in the bottle, and there's no turning down the temperature. It's now it's gone into memetics, or what we can say into the spiritual domain. And now all we can do is pray and maintain our,
What's
sorry, go ahead.
What's that movie where periodically everybody goes on a rampage and everybody kills everybody else and it's total anarchy for a period of time? The Purge, yeah.
Yeah.
So is this a purge on a cosmic scale?
Might be. Certainly for the West. But it's invaded the entire world. This is a Dugan point, right? That that liberalism is this. We talk about this one world government, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and we think about it as, the UN or as a building where people will go in a big desk and that kind of thing, right? Movie logic. But we already have it.
Yeah.
And we have it under liberalism. This liberalism equals Luciferianism. That liberal frame controls the world. Because if you're not liberal, they'll invade your country. They'll blow you up for the crime of asking a question. And for a long time, it's been external. It was Iraq, it was Afghanistan, it was this, it was Russia, it was whoever. But now it's home.
Yeah.
And they're going after the people at home. Sorry, folks. Usually I try to be, at least, I don't know if it's entertaining, but
sorry, folks. It sucks to be you.
It is a thing.
Well, just remember, every silver lining has its dark cloud.
Sure. I think that I got emotional of that video because for a few reasons, the authenticity hits you.
Yeah.
But it also means that call, that prodigal son moment is happening. People are becoming aware, realizing they're eating the food of the pigs. They've been brought low, and they're returning to the Father. Return to the house of the Father, repent, rebuild. Return, repent, rebuild. Return, repent, rebuild. And that's what can we do? That's what we do.
It's interesting, and I think it was in there was an anthology called From Under the Rubble. It was contributed to by Solzhenitsyn and Igor Shafarevich and Mikhail Ugorsky, a number of other people. It was published in the early 70s, I think. And one of the writers, I forget who it was, what they were doing was they were picking up on a book that was published in the early 20th century in Russia called Vekhi, meaning landmarks, I think. And these are a bunch of religious, or obviously Orthodox thinkers were pointing to all the trends that were taking Russian society to disaster. And one of the writers commented on it and said, yeah, there was beginning a spiritual reawakening in Russia to oppose all these trends. And he said, but that generation was cut short by the chatter of machine guns. That whatever spiritual awakening was beginning was not allowed to come to fruition. And those who probably would have been the vehicles for that awakening, the people who would have brought about that awakening, were killed either in World War I, or killed in the Civil War, or then disposed of after the war. And I can't help but wonder that, you look at that fellow with the suit, you wonder how many young fellows like that there are out there who are trying to, do exactly what you said, to put themselves together, become somebody that is worthy of being a leader in his family and responsible member of society and all that, a counter trend, all the things we've been talking about, but it may not have any place to go depending on which direction events take and how horrible it is.
At the same time, and I agree with you. I hear you, and I agree with you. We'll end on this. At the same time, if there is no hope, then there is no hope, right? If what we to repeat
Yeah.
what Metropolitan.
Well, I didn't say there's,
says,
I didn't say there's no hope. I'm just
No.
saying we don't know what direction it will go.
No, I'm not. I'm not putting words in your mouth here, Jim. It's just that,
Yeah.
you know, that what really hits hard here is the coming generations. The Lord doesn't intervene, won't be the image and likeness of God. They will be in the form of man, but in essence with a dead soul. As Gogol point, such a person can't become a saint. If society and humanity can't give birth to saints, then there's no point in living. And I think that's so key, is that even if these people returning, right, what's starting here with that little bit of that heartbeat is still alive. You know, we're still here. You know, it's going to reverberate. It's going to change people in ways. It's changed me. And I would like to believe that the point in living is that we are going to birth saints, or martyrs at least, just in their own way. And you can prepare for this, and you can spiritually prepare for this in any way you can. Hug your family, love your family, go to church, talk to your priest, is what I always recommend. But we're about to go into it now, and that's okay, because we'll be here. You know, you're not alone. Okay, let's leave it there. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Oh, we didn't do the ad read. Ad read. Go. Jim's going to be on a panel. You're going to be on a panel, Jim. Another panel. Look at you. Getting around. Put some money together for Jim's travel. Actually, this one you don't have to leave the house, I don't think. It's going to be on the online Expat Money Summit coming up in October. The emphasis of the talk is going to be about Latin America and money opportunities opening up in Latin America. So before the world ends, you may well make some money off it. Anyways, who knows what's going to happen? So go down to expatmoneysummit.com. The links are in the description below, or you can go to expatmoneysummit.com. If you want to buy a VIP package, which I highly recommend, they sign up. Most of the tickets are free. You can sign up for VIP packages. If you use the coupon code now, you get 20% off. Jim, you're going to be on a panel talking about geopolitics, hosted by a friend of the channel, Mark Claire, I believe that's how it's going down. What do you think you're going to talk about, Jim? What's your geopolitics advice?
I don't know. We're going to have a little pre-discussion in early October to try to get our story straight. So maybe we'll have a little division of labor. Who's going to talk about what? Because in other words, short answer, I don't know yet.
Fair enough. I'm sure Jim will be the ray of sunshine on the panel no matter what. So either way,
that's right.
go tune in.
That's right. Before you tune in, make sure you get rid of your belt and shoelaces.
No straight razors allowed. Your blankets are going to be replaced by paper. Hey, it didn't work for Epstein, but maybe it'll work for you. Go down to click the link down in the description below, expatmoneysummit.com. Get yourself some VIP tickets as well, or just say that Jason sent you, and we'll see you there in October. Jim, always a pleasure, my friend. And go buy Jim's book. Go read it. Try to warn you. Collected works of James George Jatras. And thank you for all the support, folks. Description, ways to support the show are in the description. Please open your pocketbooks, those little things, wallets, online wallets, whatever, and send what you can. I've got bills to pay and a wife a daughter to feed and a wife. Got one of those.
And a mother-in-law. No, your mother. Your
my mother's
wife's
coming to visit.
mother-in-law, that's it.
And my mother's coming to visit.
Yes.
It's a very wonderful, totally not stressful time in the Marinchuk household. Anyways, so send me your money, please.
Slaughterable.
Whatever you got, send it to me. I'll put it to good use. I pay the cleaner. Jim, always a pleasure. We'll see you next week, folks. I am
Yes, sir.
Jason Marinchuk, and it is later than you think.